If two SEC games went a certain way on Wednesday night, we would have 6 teams within one game of first place. Could Florida and Kentucky do the job?
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, the only daily national college hoop show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to thank you for joining us to get your college basketball content every single day. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Y'all, if you do not love college basketball, first off, I don't know why you're here in the first place, but if you just don't get geeked out over this sport, I don't know what to tell you. This thing delivers night after night after night. Tuesday was phenomenal. And I was like, there's no way we're going to top that on Wednesday. But Wednesday was bonkers as well. So I hope you caught all the action. But that's why we're here. Talk about it, catch you up, give you my takes, all of that kind of stuff. As you can hear, I'm very much still working on getting my voice back. It's getting better, but still, thanks for sticking with me through that. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a drink of water. By the way, I'm going to reference bracketology stuff a lot on today's show because so many games that we see right now have NCAA tournament implications one way or another. So I say that to say, just to simplify things, I'm just going to utilize Joe Lunardi's bracketology. And I know there's a lot of great bracketology out there, but just for ease, I will just reference that one. So I'm not going to say it every time. All right. We start our day, our conversation together today in the SEC, where we had two really great basketball games. Let's start in Tuscaloosa, where number 24 Florida was at number 13 Alabama. Alabama wins this game in overtime 98-93, but man, Florida probably should have pulled it out. They had a great lead, were looking good, and then Mark Sears just kind of took over and did some stuff. But the problem is, this would have been a massive road victory for Florida to kind of continue to, their seeding has felt like it's just been kind of skyrocketing lately. And this would have helped. Unfortunately, they don't get it. Now it's not going to do much to hurt them, but it could have really super helped. And, as part of that, with Alabama leading the way in the SEC, I heard like audible groans coming from Knoxville, Tennessee. I could tell you that right now. Look, the ending of this game was great. Unfortunately for Florida, Alabama had caught back up, but like last 60 seconds of regulation, Tyrese Samuel had just done a bunch of work, just putting the team on his shoulders. And then that final 60 seconds, Zion Pullen gets this finish at the rim to give Florida a 2-point lead. Mark Sears makes a couple free throws to tie it up. Just all this back and forth. It was actually tied at 85 going to overtime because neither team could do any more. Hanlogton did some work down the stretch of regulation as well, getting an offensive rebound that Florida could have, if they had scored there, that might have been the game-winning bucket in regulation. He also got a key block on Mark Sears at the end of regulation to send it to OT. OT looked like it was going to be the Alabama show. They get out to a 7-0 lead or go on a 7-0 run. But man, Florida, much to their credit, fought back, got it all the way to down to 94-93 Alabama with 35 seconds left. In Florida, it looked like they were going to have an opportunity to go down and win the game. They got the stop. Rylan Griffin missed a three, but the ball bounces around a little bit. Aaron Estrada knifes in, gets the layup. They go up 3. Clayton got a great look from the wing down on the other end for Florida, but it didn't fall. Bama gets a couple more free throws, ball game. So look, this is for Alabama. Look, you're going to have games like this against other high-level conference opponents. And so for Nate Oates' club to pull this together, pull it out, man, is just doing what you got to do in a conference game, especially as the team at the top of the heap. You'll lose this game. Tennessee's tied with you atop the league standings. That's not what you want to do. So really good work from Alabama to not only come back but finish it off, because there were some other schools that had nice comebacks on Wednesday and couldn't finish it off. Now, let's move to Baton Rouge, where this game was wacky. Number 17 Kentucky at LSU. Tigers pull this off 75-74. Here was the deal. Coming into this game, these are two teams kind of going in different directions. Kentucky had a really good week last week before LSU's comeback win at South Carolina on Saturday. They had lost 6 of 7, 7 of 9. It's just like, no, LSU got nothing. But in that game at South Carolina, they were down 16 in the second half, came all the way back and won by a point. This game, Kentucky enters the day as a 5 seed. And, according to Lenardi, he said they can't get up to a 4, but they might slip to a 6 with a loss. And so we'll have to see when things refresh on Thursday where Kentucky, kind of plays out. Trey Mitchell was still out in this game for the Wildcats, so that's tough. We got to recognize that. But look, while LSU had these moments lately where they just needed guys to step up, Coach McMahon talked about that. We need toughness. We need guys. And I thought they did this. Kentucky's big weakness all season long has been their offense. Electric. I love it. I could watch Kentucky's offense all day long. Their defense, though, has been a whole different story. Now, last week, they had some really good moments, really moved up in defensive efficiency at KenPom. And they did, even after the loss, they moved up slightly in KenPom defensive efficiency, but it just wasn't the same level tonight as what I saw last week. And I say that part of that's Kentucky. Part of that is LSU, man. They just attacked. Used some great pick and roll action. Just used their athleticism to exploit matchups, get to the rim, and finish. And they were doing a really good job with that. But one of the areas where I thought LSU was maybe going to shoot themselves in the foot in this game, Kentucky was literally perfect at the line, 12 of 12. LSU, meanwhile, is just leaving all sorts of stuff at the free throw line. They finished 16 of 25, missing 9. And they hit even half of those, and this is a much more comfortable win than what actually ended up happening. But my goodness, we'll get back and go to some other things. But the ending of this game, Kentucky fights all the way back. Rob Dillingham hits this redonkulous step back 2 on, kind of the side, not quite on the baseline, but a little bit in from there to give Kentucky a lead right down the stretch. LSU comes back. And you're thinking, oh, man, it's one of those moments where it's like Kentucky just stole this, and you expect to see that happen. But the problem was that Dillingham left LSU plenty of time. They're able to go and go get some action at the rim. It's blocked, throw it back in. Tyrell just lays it up, man. Beautiful. And it's one of those in the moment you're like, holy cow, did he get it off? Did he get it off? He absolutely got it off. LSU wins this game. Tough one for John Calipari's team, who started this season 12-2, but they're just 6-6 since. Gonna have to get some things figured out down the stretch here. And that's what we're looking at, and we're gonna have to figure that out. Now, what was wild about this game were the swings of it. We had a lot of offense early in the first half, really bogged down late in the second half. And then with about 2.5 minutes to go, Kentucky just goes on this run that extended into the second half. They go on a 16-0 run to give themselves a 15-point lead, 42-27. That took, that was about a minute into the second half. From there, LSU goes on this 21-4 run of their own to take a 2-point lead back. When Kentucky went on that 16-0 run, I was like, this game's over. It's done. Congrats to Kentucky. They win, and they're looking great. But, man, LSU fought back. Angel Reese is in the stands, a bunch of LSU ladies team. Great stuff. Great resolve from Coach McMahon's team to go get this done. So the Wildcats going to have to stop, look themselves in the mirror and say, what are we going to be down the stretch here? Dude, Rob Dillingham is an absolute stud. Only 2 points in the first half, but then went off for 21 in the second half, 23 total points. But he needs more help. help from all around. And Antonio Reeves will do it pretty regularly. Needs needs DJ Wagner to be more consistent. Needs Justin Edwards to be able to shoot. He had a couple shots tonight, on Wednesday night, I should say. But wild stuff. Now, here's what this means. Elsewhere in the SEC, I should say really quick, there are two other SEC games. Mississippi State wins at home 83-71 over Ole Miss. Ole Miss came into the day last four in. They now are going to be knocked out when things refresh. They will not be in the field. Lenardi had said that. Mississippi State was like a 10 seed, so helping to just kind of solidify some of their tenuous standing. Here's why. Had Florida won, held off Alabama, had Kentucky won, here's what would have been nuts. Alabama and Tennessee would be tied atop the SEC at 10-3. Meanwhile, tied at third, one game back. Florida, Kentucky, Auburn, and South Carolina, all right there within a game, meaning you would have 6 teams all within a game of each other for first place in the SEC. Instead, because Florida lost and because Kentucky lost, Alabama has first place all by themselves, 11-2. Tennessee second place all by themselves, 10-3. Auburn and South Carolina tied for third at 9-4, and then Florida and Kentucky in fifth at 8-5. So what could have been really, really chunked up together turned into a little bit more of a spread. Alabama's feeling better about themselves. Some big matchups, though, ahead this weekend. Well, I'll tell you this. Illinois had a very unfortunate collapse at Penn State on Wednesday. I guess you could say that they were not too happy, Valley. Yeah, I got dad jokes. I apologize, but I'm full of them. Deal with it. We'll talk about this game in just a second. Right after I tell you, this episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits to LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Illinois at Penn State, number 12 at an unranked team. You've heard this storyline all season long. Penn State, not in bubble contention, struggling in the Big Ten, but they get this win 90-89. And for Illinois, y'all, this is a rough look. Let me give you all these leads down the stretch. The Illini led by 14 with 15:40 to go. They led by 12 with just 5:15 left. They still led by 11 with 3:15 left. They still led by 10 with 2.5 minutes to go at 87-77. But from that moment, from 87-77 with 150 seconds left in the game, Penn State closes on a 13-2 run, including the final 8 points of the game. And look, that's going to happen on the road in league play sometimes. But if you're Illinois, you got to feel like we just blew this. We had a golden opportunity. And now, because you lose this basketball game, instead of just being one game back of Purdue in the Big Ten standings, now you're 2. And Zach Edey and company's like, thank you very much, Nittany Lions. We will take that and now have a 2-game buffer and feel great about it. Thank you very much. So here's the final 40 seconds of this game. Jameel Brown takes a questionable transition 3 for Penn State, but it falls down to 4. Then on the ensuing inbound, Penn State, Puff Johnson from Penn State strips the ball from Terrence Shannon Jr., who, by the way, had a phenomenal game. On the inbound, he gets a layup, game down to 2 now, all of a sudden. Coleman Hawkins, who's been chirping a lot lately, I might add, is fouled, misses, and he kind of he maybe traveled before the foul was called. That could have been wild. But goes to the free throw line, a good free throw shooter, misses both of them, and then poor Coleman Hawkins, things get worse. Penn State on the other end is looking for the 3 to take a lead and maybe get a win. Coleman Hawkins doesn't give Zach Hicks room to land. Hicks has to go to the free throw line, and it's not like zeros on the clock, but there's only 4.2 seconds left. And I tell you, the man's a 75% free throw shooter, but he's not been to the line all night long. And you think, oh, it's free throws, no big deal. You knock him down. Well, I'll tell you this. Under any circumstance, knocking 3 down in a row, far less percentage chance of doing that than 2 in a row. Given these circumstances, infinitely more challenging as well. But Zach Hicks steps up, calmly nails 1, 2, and 3. And all of a sudden, Penn State is up by a point. And Illinois is trying to figure out, what are we doing? What happened? What's going on here? And they even get a chance. Like Justin Harmon gets all the way to the rim and gets a great look at what would have been a game-winning layup. But it just doesn't fall, bangs off the rim, ball game. That's tough for Illinois. 35 points for Terrence Shannon Jr. in this game. New career high. His previous career high was the game against FAU at the Jimmy V Classic in MSG back in December. So for Illinois, they were a 4 seed entering this game, 14th overall. We'll see if they drop it all. And as I said, it does put them in Big Ten standings, 2 games back now of Purdue. As for a couple other teams in that top 16 conversation, Duke, who was also on Joe Lunardi's 4 line on entering Wednesday's play, I should say, picked up a blowout win at Miami, 84-55. Duke gets back Tyrese Proctor in this game, although he came off the bench. John Shire's done that some with guys coming back from injuries multiple times this year, with Proctor, with Jeremy Roach. We'll see things like that. For Miami, they were unfortunately missing 2 of their top 3 scorers. Both Nigel Pack, who had a lower body injury, was out of this game, and Matthew Cleveland, the Florida State transfer, had an illness. So both of those guys are missing for a Miami team that has already struggled a lot this year. And so losing scores 2 and 3 is not going to help your cause any. But they still had Bensley Joseph and Wooga Poplar and Norchad O'Meara. They got those guys and then fill in around them. But that's a tough situation. But a 29-point defeat at home, yikes, that's a rough look. Part of this, Miami not playing great. Duke, on the other hand, has been playing great basketball of late. They're putting themselves in really good position. In fact, they're now tied with North Carolina atop the ACC standings at 12-3 heading into the weekend. North Carolina holds the tiebreaker right now, but obviously the 2 teams have to play again on the last Saturday of the regular season. This weekend, Duke is at Wake Forest, North Carolina at West Virginia. So 2 really big road matchups for both of these schools. For Duke, it is their 3rd in a row. They knocked off both Florida schools in the ACC. Great job on the road by them. As for Miami, they're 15-12, 6-10 in the ACC. They are not going to get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. Their only hope of making it to a 3rd straight Elite 8 is to win the ACC tournament. And I've seen nothing from Miami that shows me that they can do that. On paper, yeah. In reality, no. So we'll keep our eyes on Coach Laranaga's team going forward. And again, Duke playing some really, really good basketball right now. So let's keep our eyes on them. Another of our top teams was back in action. This is a 2-seeded Marquette team coming into the day. They're number 7 in the nation, hosting DePaul, who is just, let's be honest, terrible. So the only reason I want to even bring this game up is because Marquette went wacky, 105-71, and it wasn't that close. They were, but I want to bring up 2 guys in particular. Tyler Kolek played just 27 minutes of this game, checked out at 8:03, never came back in. He scored just 3 points. So Isaac, why are you bringing him up? Because Tyler Kolek had a Marquette record 18 assists. Are you kidding me with that? Crazy stuff there. And oh, by the way, Cam Jones, he played even less. 23 minutes for Cam Jones, also checked out at 8:03. Listen to this line. 34 points on 12 of 15 from the field, 8 of 10 from 3, and 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Again, 34 points in just 23 minutes from Cam Jones. Ridiculous stuff from Marquette. I'm sure it was nice to exercise some demons from over the weekend, that beatdown that they suffered against UConn. Well, friends, we got a lot of bubble action on Wednesday night, a couple other games that weren't very bubbly, and some recruiting news that came out on Wednesday as well. Who helped themselves? Who hurt themselves in bubble standings? We'll get to that in just a second. Right after I tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. How about this big old Pac-12 clash coming up tonight? Number 21 Wazoo at number 4 Arizona. Look, it's a big line at FanDuel. Wildcats by 11.5. Maybe you think that's too big and you want to take Wazoo to cover. Go ahead, do it. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, several more topics to cover, but I want to start with 4 pretty bubbly results from Wednesday night. Let's go back to the Big Ten, and where the Nebraska Cornhuskers were visiting Assembly Hall in Indiana. Nebraska wins this game 85-70. They started the day as last 4 byes, meaning they would get an at-large berth but wouldn't have to go to Dayton. They're like right on in the field. And so they certainly helped their cause with a win on the road in Big Ten play here. And critically important for Nebraska, because before this, goose egg, 0-7 on the road in conference play. And then they go and do this. Look, Nebraska was blitzing Indiana at halftime, 51-31. Tominaga had 18 points at the half. Crazy stuff. But Indiana, man, they started chipping away at this thing, got it down to a 3-point margin, 59-56 with 11-12 to go. But then Nebraska goes on this 7-0 run to push it back out to 10. And then it was just like, fine. Indiana had nothing left to come back and overcome it. So Indiana continues to struggle. Nebraska continues to solidify their spot in the field. Great stuff from Coach Hoiberg's team. Next, the lone Big 12 game of Wednesday night. Cincinnati came into Wednesday as first 4 out for Joe Lunardi, so needed to just kind of keep pace with a win over Oklahoma State at home. It wouldn't have helped them, but it's one of those where it can hurt you if you lose. And unfortunately for Wes Miller's club, that's exactly what happens. The Sooners came in and won. Sooners, my most humble apologies. Goodness gracious. The Cowboys come in and win 80-76 at Cincinnati. Tough loss for these guys. I might as well, since I'm calling, you know what? Turnabout is fair play. Since I called Oklahoma State the Sooners, the Cincinnati Musketeers go down. I'm so sorry, Xavier. We'll get to you in a minute. The Cincinnati Bearcats fall, and man, not good for their tournament hopes. Let's move to the Big East. Providence at, that's right, Xavier. I guess I need to call them the Bearcats now if we're just doing all these crosstown mascot mix-ups. No, the Xavier Musketeers. Providence gets this game 79-75. Providence entered the day also, just like Cincinnati, first 4 out. But Lunardi had said that this win at Xavier, I mean, this is a quad 1 game, would get them into the field. So I would imagine when we see a refresh today on Thursday, it won't be a bye, but they will be last 4 in is probably where we will see Providence. So great stuff there. Now, Xavier was on a 2-game losing streak, or skid, I guess it should be, coming into this thing. But they led this game by as many as 9. They led it at 7 points, 61-54. But then Providence comes all the way to tie it back, gets a lead with 4:51 to go, 71-69. Josh Aduro had been out the majority of the second half with 4 fouls. Coach English goes ahead and brings him back in at that point and stayed away from it. Did a great job not picking up that 5th foul. Immediately, Aduro has an impact. He draws a couple guys to him as he's kind of making his way into the lane, kicks out for a 3. Boom. Now we've got a 5-point lead for Providence and were off and running. And as part of that, they get up to 75-69 and then 77-69. It's this 9-0 run for Providence, 77-69. And all of a sudden, Xavier comes roaring back, 77-75. They have a shot. Looks like they might be able to tie it up. But some great defense at the rim by Gaines and Josh Aduro. And Gaines just has this incredible verticality. I mean, right upright, blocks the ball. It was almost like grabbed it while they're in midair. It's Providence's 8th block of the game, kind of game-saving block. Essentially, 2 free throws, ball game is over. Congrats to Providence on hopefully getting themselves into the field. Let's go to one more bubble game from Wednesday night. And this game, folks, was insane down the stretch. I hope you had a chance to watch it. This is number 22 Colorado State at New Mexico. Lobos pull this one out 68-66. All sorts of back and forth. New Mexico started the day last 4 byes, so this might catapult them into the field, kind of similar to what we were talking about with Nebraska earlier. So both these teams did well for themselves on Wednesday night. Colorado State with the loss falls to 6th in the Mountain West standings. I'm not worried about them getting in, but kind of wild. Like, that's the depth at the top of the Mountain West there. So we'll continue to see what happens. This was also a very streaky game, kind of like the Kentucky LSU game. New Mexico raced out to a 15-3 lead. It's like, woo, Lobos got something going here. Okay, Coach Patino Jr., you know what I mean? But Colorado State responds with their own 18-3 run to take a lead, and then they hold that most of the rest of the first half. It's tied at halftime, and then we just get down the stretch. Just shot after shot after shot. Isaiah Stevens hit both ends of a 1-and-1 to take a 1-point lead with 7 seconds to go. And then there was this consideration, like, is New Mexico going to take a timeout at half court? And it seemed like maybe Colorado State thought they would. But then Donovan Dent just gets ahead of steam, weaves his way through traffic. Beautifully done, I might add, on his part. Colorado State, nowhere to be found defensively, no shot blocker at the rim. I don't know what they're doing. But Dent, great ball handling, left-hand layup, and one, makes the free throw. And Colorado State did a great job. They still had a timeout left. So they did the thing where the baseline pass all the way to half court, get the timeout. They couldn't get the ball to Stevens. It's a contested 3 at the end. Didn't even really look good or have a chance. And I don't even know if it would have counted if it was good. So nice defense there on the last possession by New Mexico. So they continue to solidify themselves in the field. Great stuff there. What a fun game in the Mountain West, man. It continues to deliver all the time. A couple quick, not so bubbly results. I said that Kentucky was a 5 seed in Lunardi's bracketology coming into Wednesday. 2 of the other 5 seeds were also in action. One followed Kentucky's path to the L category, and another won. The team that won was Clemson, who won at Georgia Tech 81-57. I mean, that's a stomping. And look, don't take that for granted, because both Duke and North Carolina have lost at Georgia Tech this year to Damon Stoudemire's team. Great job by Clemson to continue holding on to their spot. Dayton, on the other hand, loses at George Mason. Number 16 Dayton, 71-67. First ever home win for George Mason over a ranked opponent. Great job there by that squad. And for Dayton's part, they are now a half game back in the A10 standings of both Richmond and Loyola. So I don't even know if Dayton's going to win the regular season A10. That makes zero sense to me. That Flyers got to get some stuff figured out there. Just a couple other quick things on the way out. Samford is leading the SoCon right now, and they had a wild 74-72 home win over Furman on Wednesday night to maintain their 2-game cushion in the SoCon over UNCG and Chattanooga. Look, Samford's so fun to watch. Tons of points, always scoring. Buckyball is an absolute blast. They're undefeated at home. Check your eyes out on this mid-major team. I really, really like them. Final word today before I get us out of here. Derek Queen, the last remaining 5-star at 247 Sports for the class of 24, committed on Wednesday to Maryland. He's a Maryland. He's been playing down at Montverde, Florida, but he's originally from Baltimore area, so it makes sense. But chooses them over Kansas and Houston. along with Indiana and LSU. And so really good recruiting get for the Terps there. Somewhere SVP is real happy about that. He's a center, 12th overall at 247, third rated center behind Jaden Quaintance, the Kentucky commit, and Flory Bedunga, the Kansas commit as well. Looking ahead to Thursday night, Thursday night's action's kind of whatever from time to time. Andy and I will always give you our jinx, Thursday jinx of the week. We'll do that on Friday's show. But the two most interesting games to me on Thursday are SMU at FAU. Teams just right up there at the, at and near the top of the American Conference. Actually, it's South Florida that leads the way. They barely survived by themselves, I should say, on Wednesday night. Anyway, SMU at FAU, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. And then we already mentioned it in the FanDuel read, but Washington State at Arizona, 11 Eastern on FS1. I am not staying up for that. I am too old. We'll check in on that together on Friday or next week or something. Folks, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Again, what a phenomenal Wednesday night of basketball. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And we're still 4 weeks away. There's so much great action to happen before we even get to Selection Sunday and the conference tournaments and everything. It's so great. I hope you love it as much as I do. If you haven't joined the Locked On College Basketball Discord community, man, you want to make sure you do that in these final weeks of the regular season so you can be ready and in hanging out with us come NCAA tournament time. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please do that on both audio and video. Smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube so that we know you are here. All right, folks. Man, college basketball, it just always delivers. Apologies to the Lawyer family. Let's go Wildcats. And until tomorrow, peace.